Hello, I'm Abby and this is Abby's Den, and welcome back to the video about our overlocker. Now this video is really about threading the machine up and what you should look for mainly when you go to buy an overlocker, and it's a feature which I would consider seriously and it needs to be discussed. Quite frankly, I don't think people address this issue when they go to buy a machine. They look for features, but they never, and very rarely, ask the question. You might ask, is it easy to thread up? And the salesperson will say, yes, it is. But what I want you to look for, I want you to be a bit more vigilant or diligent about purchasing your machine. So when you think about an overlocker, think about it as an advanced sewing machine. You have 2 bobbin threads and you have 2 needle threads. So the bobbin threads are called loopers and they work coming underneath, and your needles work from the top, just like on a conventional sewing machine. So when you have the threads coming from underneath, you have to consider that just like a bobbin, it has to come right underneath the needle and works from underneath there. I don't know if you can see that, but the thread's got to come from directly underneath. And when the thread catches the needle thread, so when the looper threads catch, they've got to form a stitch, just like on a regular sewing machine. So here we go. This is a chain stitch machine, but works in the same sort of principle. The chain, can you see underneath there? The chain, the thread comes down there, it sort of slides around, and this hook grabs it and pulls it back into itself. So it's only one thread, there's no bobbin thread. But the theory and the process is more or less the same. You've got to have the thread directly underneath, and that's what you need for the bobbin, and that's what you need for the loopers. So when you go and have a look and can't understand why you can't thread up your machine very well, you need to make sure, or your machine isn't looping very well, you need to make sure this thread's going through correctly. Now on this particular machine, if I take away the foot and I take away the needle plate, you want to look for this guide here. This is the guide that has the thread on the back of it, and you need to get the needle threads to catch the loop when that goes back and forward like that. So as that goes back and the needle comes up and down, those are forming a loop, and those are forming a loop as well between. So between that loop, that forms a loop, and that's how the overlock works. And you need the needle thread or threads, you can do it with one, to work between them to help hold them separate. So you need to access the guide there. If I put the needle plate back on, not even put the foot back on, you cannot see that guide easily. So unless you take that foot off every time, so the foot and the needle plate off every time you want to change threads, you might find it a bit tricky. So what you want to look for is a system the machine has to allow you easy access. So let me show you. So for example, this machine has what's known as a fast system, an easy way of accessing. So if I pull that out, you can get your thread around this hook and through the eye, and then that will access, and that will work from underneath. That's easy to thread. Similarly with this one has a mechanism there that, can you see that yellow dot? It sits on sort of a crescent shape with 2 spiky hooks. I don't know if I can get close enough for you to see. So these hooks here, you thread around them. When you push this lever over, the hook that's under there grabs that thread and yanks it and holds onto it, so it comes back out without the thread. And if that happens, you know it's caught. So that has a good system. And then this one, similar to the model I showed you, the Naked Overlocker, but this one is an older machine but it has a fast system or an easy system to thread the machine. When it's set up like that, and I push this lever up, it brings guides out for me, and that's what I want to see. So to be honest with you, I will struggle threading this machine up unless I buy some specific gadgets, like a very long stick with a needle threader on the end and a hook, and they're wires that you can pick up for a couple of pounds, but they get all tangled up and you break the hook and it's not very easy. Really, I think the company should be supplying them with the machine, and you see a lot of these kind of machines on the market, second-hand versions of them on the market, because they are almost impossible for the user to thread up. So be wary, watch out for the little things like that when you go shopping for your overlocker, and have fun. Bye.